everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of our NaPoWriMo Loudcast. I am Kevin McLean. I am here, as always, with my wonderful flatmate, Mr. I got up this morning and dressed myself, Perry Johnson.
He's wearing jeans. Who wears jeans?
Please don't point this out. I've been wearing the same jeans since quarantine started. And if you go back and look at all the Loudcasts, you will see that these are the jeans that I've been wearing.
That explains the smell. We're also joined by the one and only, our own very own PhD, Katie Ailes. And in a remote location somewhere in Leith, we have, turns out she's not a murderer, Beck Sherwood.
Shocking,
and
right?
The return of the mighty Mark Galley. How are you doing, Mark?
Well, thank you, Kevin.
That is the worst pretend Mark voice I've ever heard.
No, I'm good. It's good to be back.
The Bex has been charading as you this whole week. I was receiving messages that they didn't sound like you. I was concerned. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks very much. It's good to be back. I did see that a bunch of my accounts had been hacked, but there's a bear here that informs me with its T-shirt that I am not dead. So that's always nice.
Well, it's nice to know we've made it through 4 weeks of NaPoWriMo without a fatality.
I don't know, I'm still not convinced that new Mark isn't actually a clone of old Mark. That's why he was gone for like 2 weeks. It takes time to grow a human from a vat.
2 weeks from scratch?
Yeah.
Let's not get bogged down with human cloning. Guys, it has been a big week for us with NaPoWriMo. Mark, you've been writing still while you've been off the show. I know you've not been slacking. Can we just check one thing?
You
Mark,
absolutely can, yep.
Have you missed a day?
I have not.
I'm so proud. You've kept it up. When I got ill, I went to shit. But yeah, you've managed it. Good job. Did you see last week? Hopefully everyone saw that's watching. Mark is now the viewer's proxy. Did you check out the poll, the list of challenges?
I did, yeah. I felt bad that I couldn't submit a challenge, but there was some good challenges in there, so.
There was some good challenges, and for the viewers at home, thank you very much for voting in the poll. There's a new poll this week that you can go and vote in. But last week's results, we went for 10-minute poem. My one came out, and everyone was slagging me last week on the show for it being a very easy prompt. So I can't wait to read all these incredible 10-minute poems. And Mark, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, fantastic. I did think when I first saw the challenge of the 10-minute poem that meant write a poem that lasted 10 minutes, and I was very happy when I was corrected, because I just saw 10-minute poem and went, no, don't want to do that.
Maybe could have been clearer.
It's fine. It was the easier way. Write a poem in 10 minutes. I mean, we'll see if this is a poem. I had 10 minutes. This is what I've got. So the day I did the 10-minute poem was on the day of you on our Instagram, NaPoWriMo. And the word I sort of went for with umbrella. So that's kind of what prompted this. I don't typically carry an umbrella. I'm happy with a hood or my hair. It's not that I'm unprepared, not even that I'm too lazy to carry one. I have several. Given by the kind-hearted with good intention to protect me from the storms to come. Problem is, I like dancing in the storm. Not that drizzle, spitting, shit, some muggy, miserable mist. No, give me heavy rain. Give me that rain that thuds when it hits cars. Give me that rain that gets mistaken for hail. Give me rain like the wrath of some benevolent being. Give me rain like that night. The night where we didn't care how silly we looked, swimming shorts, assorted borrows, hoodies, mismatched shoes, because all we wanted to do was dance in the rain. Sing to the sounds of thunder, see what travels faster, our laughter or lightning, all cares and composure washed away. Give me that raindrop rhythm so powerful, I thought my chest was in trouble, give me that feeling again. So, thanks, but I don't need the umbrella. I hear a storm coming. Thank you.
10 minutes, you bastard!
Yeah, I
want to
contest that. I don't think he wrote that in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm pretty annoyed as well.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yeah, no, Perry, to be fair, Perry, you are right. I didn't write it in 10 minutes. I wrote it in 9 minutes, 56 seconds.
Nah, bullshit.
Well, all I'm going to say is that, it's easier to write a poem when it's a rip-off of one of your friends.
Yeah,
I did think when I had that last line, I was like, I can't use because I feel it start to rain.
No, obviously, I'm absolutely not accusing Mark plagiarism. That's very different, very excellent. Good stuff, Gally.
Thank you.
Bex, have you got a wee 10-minute poem for us?
I have an 8-minute 34 poem.
Damn. How did that go for you?
Yeah, it was good. It's the longest thing I've written all week, so clearly when I have longer, I spend more time caring about every single word, whereas here I was just like, get words written so it is not shorter than a haiku. So yeah. It's already on my... I've shared about it during the story and everything, but I quite like this poem, so happy to do it again.
Nice. Thank you.
I miss the noise from the scrapyard. Metal clanging against metal, the rough scrunch noise of destruction that used to wake me on Saturdays. Old washing machines that don't clean and bikes no longer ridden, grasped in the claws, crushed by the jaws of bigger metal machines. I miss the sounds from the scrapyard, garbage heaped wireable sweep, dust settling on items long past best, and I find myself staring at piles of mess, finding comfort in things that need to be let go of, now taking up less space than they did before. When I move, I will miss the scrapyard, not the picturesque sea view craved by some and seen by few, but monsters purring, morn till dusk, wishing I could operate those machines and shake off my own rust. But here, a clear view from my third-floor flat, when the piles disappear, I find myself wondering where the scrap goes.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful stuff, Bex. Bravo. And again, I'm not sure I believe you. Cool.
I think both of those
So much
pieces, just
distrust
comment,
in this. Even after I have clear evidence of not committing murder, you guys are still like, but did she clone him? Oh, like I don't have better things to do. Jeez.
Well, you clearly got a lot of time because this poetry malarkey isn't eating it up, is it? Yeah. Good job, Bex. Bravo. Okay. This flat did not do so well. Perry, how did your 10-minute poem go, my friend?
Yeah, I did the mistake of thinking of an elaborate idea to kind of, what's the term, meditate upon, which obviously isn't good for writing something in short spaces of time. So I'd written one paragraph and realized that I had used up half my time, and then I had to quickly scramble to at least get the ending in so the whole thing made sense, because I'd done the setup. But it's something that would need to greatly be improved upon, but yeah, we'll just go for it. I did this on you as well, same as Mark.
What letter did you do, Bex, just out of curiosity?
It was day 21, so whatever that was.
You.
Oh, was it you? Yeah, great, it was you.
We all chose you. To be fair, I haven't included you like at all within this. I just kind of wrote you, and then I wrote a thing. Anyway, I've been thinking recently about this home I call a body. Growing up, you wonder, Sally got a swing set and a garden. Tom has a mansion. Not fair. Then the teenage years, and your focus slowly shifts to the landscape outside, so certain you know every corner of every street, all figured out. I look around this house of mine. The brown spotted lawn that needs mowing, gutters need clearing, but yes, I'm okay. It's not much, but it's home, and it's mine.
Oh, good job, Barry. That's
Nice,
really
Barry.
nice.
I like your home.
And I think it makes it like it doesn't seem like it hasn't been complete. You know what I mean? Like it does seem like an entire poem.
Good. I hadn't read it up until now. I was just like discarded and I went, nah, I don't want to think about that anymore. But yeah, no, it does kind of make sense.
Well, I also did you, interestingly, for my day, but I was on the Instagram, so I was running our Insta account that day, and so I was like, okay, gang, I'm gonna start my 10-minute poem. It's 10 to 3, and then I clicked off, and Kate walked in the room while I was writing, and I looked at the time, and I had 1 minute left, and just, no, I was halfway through. What I was trying to do, I did mine on upside down, so I wanted to do this thing that was the idea is like you turn the egg timer, right, the hourglass.
Hourglass, yeah.
And so I wanted the shape of an hourglass. Turns out it takes a really long time to format. Yeah. So what I have now is an upside down pyramid, which is 1/2 of an hourglass. So this is quite quick, but I'll read it to you guys. So Turn it upside down to start. Watch the grains fall away. Know that the seconds don't simply vanish. They are saved to fall again, renewed, reborn. And then it's supposed to. It was going to be a whole thing, but apparently I need 20 minutes. Cool, so that is my 10-minute poem, and there was no weird editing shenanigans. Cool, so Katie, you ran into a couple of difficulties this week. I know you had a lot of work on. Did you manage to do your 10-minute poem?
I fell off the poetry wagon
No.
and then rolled around in the dust for a little while and ended up very musty and sad. No, I had a lot of work on this week and ran into some mental health hiccups, which happens. We're in a pandemic. This is really hard.
The thing is, the writing is supposed to be fun. Like, I know
Exactly.
Beck spoke a lot about that when we were talking about tips for this. Like,
Yeah.
make sure you're still having fun with it. And if it's not helping you, don't do it. It's You can always write more another time. Not you, Perry. You keep writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, you did the right thing to jump off for a little bit. But you did do some writing this week, right?
I did. So one of the projects that I was working on was a funding application for I Am Loud, because we want to keep bringing you guys poetry during this really tough time. And so because of that, yes, fingers crossed, toes crossed. So because of that, all that was in my head for the past 2 weeks was funding application jargon and this sort of language that you have to use in these applications. And so when it came to writing poems, I was like, I don't have any other language in my brain. It's one of the reasons I've had writer's block all through the PhD, because I'm like, I don't know how to use words that don't have 7 syllables. So I wrote this out of it, and I think that's all the intro I'll give it. This poem has been developed from a unique, dynamic, creative idea in a sustainable, effective manner into a poem. This poem is highly effective and efficient at being a poem. It both follows in the tradition of poetry and innovates in a unique manner, thus pushing the envelope and forging new paths. From the beginning of this poem, it was managed effectively by a highly skilled team of managers with extensive experience in efficiently managing poems. Their detailed CVs are attached to this poem. This poem is engaging the public in a way the public has never before been engaged. The engagement is meaningful and sustainable and very unique. There will be many benefits to the public from this poem, not least of which is their engagement. This poem is very, very accessible. Its accessibility has been measured through you accessing it right now. This poem is equal and diverse. It has a policy for that. Also for the environment, for which this poem is good. Please be aware that this poem has been risk assessed and is an amber. Remain cautious around this poem, but be assured that this poem contains a 5% contingency in the event of unexpected reactions. Writing this poem has been significantly beneficial to the practice of writing poems in a positive, innovative, and sustainable manner. Its beneficial impact is both measurable and not measurable, but it is definitely engaging and incontrovertibly unique. Upon completion of this poem, please fill out the attached questionnaire measuring its beneficial public engagement and impact. You will be measured in the measuring of this poem.
Wow.
It's so good. That is,
Actual
so
round of
good.
applause.
Yeah.
Wow.
Katie won NaPoWriMo.
So that was my week.
Yeah, that was way too real.
Yeah.
Absolute pass for missing a day with that.
Oh yeah, you made up for it. So.
Yeah, I think
Katie,
I'm
you
one
don't
of
even
the
need to
top
finish
Yeah.
NaPoWriMo. It's done. You won.
Crazy. If you've never written a funding application, dear viewer at home, that's what they sound like. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Kate has been in a world of buzzwords like synergy and engagement. So yeah, good job, Kate. Good poem.
Katie, I will never ever allow you to say that you can't write funny poems again. I will never allow it
yeah.
Yes!
Very good point, yeah. Well, good. I think we all rose to the challenge. I do just want to point out, while we're on the subject of the challenge, I actually did all 4 challenges. So, I completed them all.
What, do you want a medal?
I would love a medal actually. Bex.
Okay,
I've
I'll
been
get you a
wanting
medal.
for things I do for quite some time. I'm a little upset no one's given me a medal thus far.
Okay, I'll get you a medal.
A medal or some money?
Ooh. Let's not. No one's going to give me money for poems. Let's not get bogged down in the nonsense. We're going to set up a new challenge for next week. Mark, you're back on the ball, so you get to suggest a category for this week's coming challenge. What do you got for us?
Fantastic. Well, I was very upset that I couldn't do this one last week, so I'm going to put it in this week because last week we had R, and for anyone that watched the Instagram know that I went a bit rap crazy, and then it didn't look like that many people really responded and rose to it. So I'm going to make you guys do it with the audience's help. So I would like essentially 16 lines of a rap about yourself.
Oh God.
Yeah.
No, I'm too white. I'm too white for this.
This is a very white flat.
Yeah.
Will Name managed spectacularly.
Yeah, that's fair.
But then he's a special creature. Isn't he?
Yeah.
Cool. So we
is.
have Mark with his rap. Bex, do you have a challenge for us?
I do have a challenge. I have been watching a lot of documentaries and getting really into certain historical figures, particularly like women of history. So I would like everyone to write an ode about a woman in history.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
I like that.
Baller.
Cool. Kate, have you got a challenge for us?
I do, and this is borrowed from Mark's partner Naomi. So she sent me as sort of a gift. She had written a NaPoWriMo poem from only using titles from Scotland's own thirst trauma show Outlander. So my challenge is to do a found poem only using TV show episode titles.
That's very cool. Naomi, of course, if you're watching, we all miss you being naked, not the same without you. Outlander, so some sort of TV show. Sorry if you're watching this joke's not for you. So we're doing...
It doesn't have to be Outlander, obviously,
Yeah,
but just
any TV
pick a
show.
show and do a found poem only using episode titles from that show.
Perfect. And Perry, do you one for us?
Yes, knowing that punctuation is soon upon us, we are on Y or Z today. I can never remember.
Fast approaching punctuation.
This one specifically applies to punctuation, so don't go and write this poem tomorrow because it won't make sense. I'd write a poem using no punctuation.
That's interesting because I don't use a lot of punctuation in my poetry, but I always need a well-placed comma somewhere at the end.
Yeah, not using commas is going to be hard.
I just put a space and go to the next line.
Which is legit, I should say.
What's the
We're
thing about-
laughing, but like...
What's the thing about ignorance is bliss? I'm in the same spot, buddy. For my challenge, I think I am going to go for you need to write a horror poem, a scary poem. I was watching some Simpsons, and the Raven episode came on.
Oh my God.
Some scary poems.
Kev, I should mention, the gold, you see, was
No,
cursed.
I don't want Kate's scary poems. If you came to our most recent Halloween show, you'll know that Kate is not a spooky person. So we have our challenges. They're going to be up here in the eye. You can go and vote on them. We have a rap from Marks. We have an ode to a woman from Bex. We have
No punctuation.
no punctuation from Perry. We have
TV show titles.
TV show titles from Kate and a horror poem from me. Cool. Go and vote. We'll take the votes from the first 24 hours, and then that will be our challenge for this week. Fantastic. Anyone else got some poems they want to share? Let's rattle through some poems, guys.
I'll jump on, yeah. The only one I wrote this week that I actually liked. So I'm gonna
Oh, Perry.
so I'm gonna showcase that one so I don't feel like a total waste of space.
Whoa.
You're not a waste of
That's a bad
space. You do dishes sometimes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice of you to say. So this is quite a visual poem, so I'm gonna have Kev display it over his face so that we can't see Kev. There we go. Excellent.
Finally.
I know, right? I've been wanting to do that for so long. Can we do this for all of it? Just keep him blocked out? Excellent. Okay. So this is W. This is the start of this poem. This is the point of repetition. This is where we break it. We make it. This little space. this point of repetition, this end of the poem.
That's beautiful, Perry. I saw you post that on Insta, and I love that one. I look at, people have heard it from me a million times, but I often say I think poetry in its purest form should be saying a complicated thing in its simplest and most beautiful form. And so these little poems, these little, like a lot of people refer to it as insta poetry and are quite dismissive of it. I think there's a real skill in saying something with so few words, but saying so much with it. I think that's beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Really well done. Nice. Bex, I'm swinging to you. Have you got a poem for us?
Yeah, I've got a poem. One of the things I tried to do this week, I've been experimenting quite a lot with different styles over NaPoWriMo. I tend to write very light-hearted, silly poetry. Last week I did kid stuff, and then this week I tried to actually use my poetry to express things that I've been feeling and as a way of well-being and all of that. So these are a little this one's a little more serious, but I don't know. You can tell me if it's good afterwards. I wore my trauma like a cape, thread count, skin thick, smelling of bood and Lacoste I pose. Superhero, warrior queen, stronger now than I have been because I had nothing left to fear. Death and I were introduced, not someone I'd met before, but an outstretched hand and whisper.
Wow.
Deep poem bars.
That's very different for you, Bex.
Yeah.
That's a very different tone from what you normally strike. Again, similar to what I was saying to Perry, I think there's something in that, the reduction, you know what I mean? Where you kind of strip away until you're left with these very core lines.
Distilling, the poetry. Bex, I love how much you've experimented this month with different tones and styles. That's awesome.
Yeah, you've been a real standout. Obviously, Bex is the newest kind of recruit to I Am Loud, and so even though
You say recruit like I volunteer.
We don't kidnap people.
Let's not pull back the curtain. So Perry may be the newest writer, poet in the group, but I think it's really interesting seeing Bex, who we've not seen as much writing from, I guess, kind of really experiment and come out and try new things. It's been really fascinating, Bex. Good job.
Thanks.
Okay, Gally or Katie, who wants to go? Katie, you did your poem. You missed out on the challenge. So I'm not giving you an extra poem. That's your punishment.
I only have one more poem from this week, and we're saving that for the Patreon extra exclusive content.
Oh, she
can
only
get.
nailed the plug. Fantastic. That's Katie's contribution, and it's a joy. Bex. You did your poem there. Gally, I've gone off the rails. I'm so confused. Gally,
No, you're fine.
have you got a
I'm
poem
happy
for
to
us?
do one. So I've also been trying to play around with some things that were a bit different, not just so what I did on day 20, which was T, I went to a random word generator, said give me 10 words beginning with T, and the 10 words I got were to be put into the poem. I had to use all of them. So I got thrust, tension, trouser, tooth, temple, temptation, treatment, tidy, traffic, and trunk. So this is a poem about trying to find jeans that fit.
With thrust and trouser, it's like they knew they were chucking words to you specifically, didn't they?
And temptation? Woohoo!
Thrust is the first word. That is the order they came up in the random generator as well. So yeah, this is about trying to find jeans that fit in Primark. or Primani, as my gran calls it.
Nice.
It's tidy. Impressive considering the traffic, the payoff is poor quality and passive treatment, cheap temptation in all corners. I spy the trousers of my desire, taken to changing chamber, feet first, Bambi, clumsy thrust. Too much tension in the textile. I pull till tooth chips, barely covered trunk, broken. I pray the next temple brings triumph.
Nice.
So good,
well done.
That's fantastic.
It's a really good prompt. I hadn't thought
Yeah.
of as well, not just going for the sort of alliteration thing, but specific alliterative words or any specific words, kind of chucked at you. That's very cool, Mike. Good job.
Thank
good
you.
job. I guess I will round off this little section with one of mine. I should point out that so on day R, whatever day that was, I decided to write a poem about a couple of my favourite wrestlers who share the same last name, Rhodes. So R is for Rhodes. And so I'm going to read that one, but I do want to just little shout out to my main man Gally, who the next when we had W come up on the Instagram, he decided to throw out there a little challenge, asking people to write wrestling poems, because basically one of the wrestlers from my poem liked the poem. He's like a legend of wrestling, 30 odd years in the business, legend. Liked my poem. So Gally proposed we should try and get as many wrestlers to like poetry as we could. And Stuart Kenny set the bar pretty high. He wrote this incredible poem about a Glasgow-based wrestling promotion, ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, and everyone started liking it, so I did the same. And between me and Kenny, I think all the boys in ICW have read some poetry this week, so I'm particularly proud of that. So I will read you my R is for Roads poem. It's kind of made up of little bits of promos and nicknames and stuff that the two wrestlers have had. So, we've known hard times, dreams turned to nightmares, stars ground to dust, gold plating shattered. But no matter how deep the cut, no crimson mask remains forever. So we do the work, we walk these roads together. I don't give a shit if you people like it, because Dustin Rhodes liked it. So
Dustin!
Yeah. So
many wrestling poems this week.
Yeah, I know nothing about wrestling. This has been so frustrating. Everyone's being like, look how fantastic this poem is. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I have no idea what's happening.
Good. Well, that's all I'm going to write from now on, is poems to elicit Instagram likes from wrestlers I love.
Yeah, but does Big Show follow you on Twitter?
Moving on, we have...
Because Big Show follows me on Twitter.
Right,
I don't know why.
This episode of the Loudcast has absolutely run off the rails. Guys, we have had a big week beyond NaPoWriMo. We hope you've been writing. We hope you've been enjoying it. Please keep sending us your NaPoWriMo stuff, but we do more things here. And one of those things is producing some absolutely wonderful live performance videos. So we talked briefly a little bit about Jack McMillan's poem Ladders from last week, and gave you a little tease what's coming up this week. I think I said I don't know because I've not edited, but it turns out it was Mary McCall with Is, and I don't know, I'm just hitting a stride with editing these poems where it's so much fun. Editing is usually a bit of a chore, like listening to 4 or 5 of us rabbit back nonsense, painful, but editing together Mary McCall and a bit of Jack Hink's guitar underneath, sublime. I've fallen in love with Mary McCall. She's an incredible poet. Thoughts on the specific poem? Thoughts on Mary?
I really resonated with this poem. As I said, I went through some mental health dips this week, and so I didn't watch it when it came out because I saw Mary's post about it being like, this is about depression, and I was like, I can't watch this right now. But I watched it just before we recorded, and I think she does such a beautiful job of personifying the different things that depression can be and do for a person and how it can vary. And I think, if you're struggling with anything, something that can help if you feel capable of writing about it is personifying it, is saying, this is an external force. The final line of the poem is depression is, well, I'm paraphrasing, but depression is many things, but it's not me.
Yeah.
And that is such a powerful and important idea for people to remember. So I think it's a beautiful poem linguistically, but also just such an important message, I think, particularly right now.
Yeah, I know Bill Hader has talked about that in like a YouTube video, how he used to have panic attacks on SNL, and like before every time he would go on, he would just be wrecked with anxiety. And he talks about the way he's coped with it is having, imagining that his anxiety is like a little monkey or a little creature that sits on his shoulder, so that he can just go, yeah, it's okay, I hear you, I hear that you're scared right now, but like, we'll be fine.
I mean, we've done that for a long time, the idea of depression as the black dog and things like that. There is this idea of personifying to give it its, I guess its own identity, because it's easier then to tackle that thing, seeing it as part of yourself. Yeah. It's a very interesting poem, and I think there's an aspect that we don't talk about enough, which is great writing coupled with great performance.
Yes.
If you take a line like that, where even written down, it's very powerful. My depression is many things, but it is not me. But then when you couple that with a performer like Mary, who paces that poem beautifully, she knows when to pick up, she knows when to lean into softer moments like the Bogart reference or things like that, but then she knows how to hit this last line with real conviction, with real honesty. You know, it comes across very genuine, and then pairing that with Jack and knowing how to play off him. I guess there's an aspect to Mary where she is a musician as well. It's multi-talented people. So you know, like watching people who have an understanding of music and can feel what Jack's doing behind them and play along with that is always wonderful to see. Bex, Mark, what did you guys think?
I really like this. This was one of the things this week when I have been trying to write a bit more like deep emotional poetry that was really kind of helpful, because I've always kind of felt when I write poems that are not cheerful, silly, fun, stupid cow nonsense, they always get quite like depressing in like a negative way, which is why I find them quite hard to write. So having something like this where it is really powerful and it uses, you know, certain like elements in terms of like the repetition of lines and things like that, which I kind of find quite useful when it comes to writing, to see things presented in a way that ultimately is positive, even though it's talking about a negative issue. It's just kind of like a realignment of ideas.
100%
in other words that sound wanky.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely valid. I think that's one of the most interesting things. I often find, you know, a lot of subjects get talked about often in poetry and repeat, and that's fine. It's great. Everyone has a unique opinion on these ideas. You know, like no one person is the same. So you should feel free to talk about things other people have talked about. But there's a temptation to fit into a normal pattern of that. To go, this is a sad subject, it should be a sad poem, or you know, this thing is bad, so I should say it as clearly as possible that it's bad. But actually, I've often found that the point of poetry is to say things in a more interesting way, a more creative way, and juxtapose emotions, juxtapose state of mind, juxtapose, you know, these different ideas. Like when Perry the other week pitched doing an opposite opinion poem. Like you can make an argument and explain your own argument through arguing the opposite in poetry, and it gives you all this range to use. So use it. Mary's a great example of someone who takes who she is as a very bright and happy person. You know, like Mary is lovely to spend time with. She's just, you know, those people who are just nice, annoyingly nice. I want to have a dinner party with like her and Jenny Lester and Stuart Kenny and Carl Alexanderson and just have like a nice. It'd be lovely. Anyway, she's like that, and to see someone like that do this very harrowing piece might seem, you know, not as authentic, not as true to life, but seeing her do it with her style and her tone of voice is much more powerful and makes me engage with the subject matter much more. Yeah, very nice. So if you, Mark, any thoughts? Sorry, I'm forgetting because you've been dead for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I did die. But I've come back. It was brutal. No, I was saying quite a lot of the stuff you guys have said. Like Katie, I was moving the mic towards me as Katie talked about the final line. I love that last line of Mary's poem. I've been a big fan of Mary for years, since when we were doing gigs in like the Mash House and things like that. But yeah,
you've always been a big advocate of Mary. I know that she's been someone that's appealed to you a lot. Like you gave her, I think, the first sort of Loud Poets booking where we had her in for Bohemia and things like that. So yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. She's one of those people that where I saw and was went, she is just very, very good, and I love what she does. The only sort of like extra thing I could say on top of parroting what everyone else says for that particular poem is I love how, and I think you and me have talked a bit about this, Kev, is that the idea of like of not being afraid of steering into using your personal examples. So like those are all very specific examples to Mary about that thing, but in that it feels for those that are affected by that, you know, that they can relate to that in other ways by using so many personal examples. It makes her relatable in its own way, but then to have all those examples and be like, but that's not me. It feels very. It's just what you're saying. It's taking that sort of like sadder or more not bleak, but that tougher subject and going, this is my experience. You are not alone, and you are not this. I find it very, very. I think it's one that weirdly I know it's something you couldn't have maybe not been in the right mind space for, Katie, but I think that's probably one that I will use to try and if I'm in a funk, because it's very uplifting in that thing. It's like this isn't you. This is.
I think you make a great point there, Mark, and I know that's something we've spoken about before. That idea of how where's that line between making something too personal and too specific to yourself and making it too vague that it's so obviously not true to who you are. Kate, I know this is something you've written a lot about in your PhD. Do you have any advice for us where that line lies?
I think it's this weird paradox in writing across forms, actually, where the more specific you make it, the more realistic it becomes to the reader or the viewer, and then the more they can believe that it happened to you. So if you read a poem that's just like, I am sad, I have depression, this sucks, like, that's very generalized, but why would we care? We can't see it, we can't feel it, we don't know what the experience is. Whereas if you write a very specific, particular poem about your own experiences, suddenly we can smell it, we can taste it, we understand what it is. And even if the specific experiences aren't as familiar to us, it feels, I hate this word, it feels authentic. So, so it's that paradox of the more particular you make it, actually, the more relatable it can sometimes be.
It's funny, we had a conversation this week with Mary's poem about personifying depression, how that is done.
So I wrote a poem in sort of a similar vein where I personified depression, and before I posted it, I brought it to Kev, and we had this it was good. We had this really intense discussion about it because I had personified it in a way that felt that started out feeling authentic to me, but then I think I got carried away with the idea, and it ended up feeling, I had personified depression as like an abusive lover, effectively. And you said...
Which is totally fine, like
Yeah.
you can personify it anyway, but I felt there were inconsistencies in the way that you were describing that was trying to fit the metaphor rather than trying to accurately personify depression. And so I think that's where maybe that line comes in, where you go, are you using an example that helps to understand? So when Mary talks about the boggart, even if you don't see depression as a boggart, you know what a boggart is, and so you can go, yeah, that is an accurate, because you still understand the feelings of that depression, you still understand what she would be going through, and that's how she personifies it. So like it's, I guess there's a weird line in there.
It also, that was such an important conversation, I think, for me to have, because I had written this poem, and I think it's a beautifully written, not to toot my own horn, but like, it's really well written, but I got carried away with myself, and I started thinking, I just want to make this a beautifully written poem, and then when I read it back like a day later, I was like, this is not actually my own experience. And it's why I think it's so helpful to have people around you who will read a work and be honest with you. And Kev went, this is beautifully written, but like, doesn't feel like what you told me in the past. And
it shows you as well that when you take to a poem like Mary's and you go, it can seem sort of simple, right? My depression is, and a list of stuff your depression is, and it can seem very simple, but the nuance and time to pick the right examples, to pick the right things that is, does take a lot of effort, and sadly the real sign of skill and talent is making your effort not unnoticeable, to make it look easy. And I think Mary McCall's is an excellent example of a poem that seems very easy and very, very simple, but has a huge amount of complexity and a huge amount of writing skill and performance skill going on in it. So please do check out Mary McCall Is. We would massively appreciate it. It's available now. Of course, it came out a week early for our $3 and up Patreons over on our Patreon page. You can sign up now and you will get a sneak peek of Colin Bramwell, who will be next week's poem. Colin, I love Colin. I've been editing up his set where we booked him for 15 minutes and he did a solid 30 because he's that kind of cat. Double what you asked for. I love it. But it was such a good set, and the poem we're releasing next week is a real favourite of mine. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but go
he's
over the
mad
Patreon
and brilliant, and
chaos.
Just yes, Colin, yes.
He closed his set with that poem that I'm putting out next week, so I'm very excited for that. Go over to the Patreon and check it out. Guys, we've got one more week of NaPoWriMo. We have one more week. It's going to be exciting. Next week, the episode that we put out of the Loudcast will be the wrap-up episode. We will be looking back at the whole month, chatting how we got on, seeing what we've learned, what we're going to carry on doing next. There's going to be a lot coming. We're going to check out what your challenges are. You can vote in the eye. We're going to take that vote after the first 24 hours. Please make sure to check out Mari. Please make sure to check out the Patreon page. We also have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that. We also have our Redbubble account, so please check those things out.
We have a newsletter.
We have a newsletter you can sign up to. That's very exciting. There's a lot of amazing things going on. We spoke a little bit about them last week. Things like Quarantine Cabaret, Sonic Youth. I know Noiriki are doing things. I know Apples and Snakes are still doing things for Bose in Manchester. There's an endless amount of nights. If you want to find out more, you can always hit us up and let us know. But for now, that is it for this week. We hope you're still writing. We hope you're having fun. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, we will see you next week. Everybody, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm not dead.
Oh, enough.
Oh, I'm so tired.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, we'd appreciate it if you could hit the like button, if you could hit the subscribe button, and make sure to ring that bell icon so you don't miss any updates from us in the future. If you want to go that extra mile and support us a little further, we do have a Patreon channel with loads of exclusive goodies, and you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. We appreciate your help, guys, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.